Bitcoin has been gaining more attention recently as we have seen the price rise. Just like any other asset class, Big Brother wants a piece of your pie. The weakest link of Bitcoin has always been exchanges. This is where the currency is traded. This is where you lose anonymity. This is where the fragility lies. You came here for the truth. Today we are going to look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's weakest link, and I want to touch on gold as well. So stay with me. Let's begin. There is a crackdown that has taken place on Bitcoin, but not the currency itself. It is always at the exchange, and that is in fact the problem. Because the exchange is an entity, it's a corporation, it's a website that exists within this particular government, and these governments will enact regulations, laws, put these bills and acts then in place to make it so that you cannot be anonymous. When you sign up to these exchanges, they will require you to have all of your details put in there. Some of them require photo ID, some of them require your credit card, they require passports, and so on. And they do so as part of these different laws. They need your information, know your customer rules. There are many different terms depending on where you live. And essentially they want to know your details. If not, you can't do business on that website. You can't sign up. So what they're trying to do is crack down on these websites to make sure that they are giving them all of the details of each and every individual. This article here, this piece of data right from the Australian government's website is part of this crackdown. It's just one particular country, but I'll show you that this is all around the world. And they will, in fact, attack the exchanges. They will probably go ahead and do this. They want to make it just like any other stock trading platform and everything else, where you have to give up all of your data to them. Bitcoin itself, if you want Bitcoin to have a wallet, you don't need any of that. You could just have an email address, for example. And you could create a, let's say, fake email address. You can sign up. You got your wallet. Somebody could send you money. You could send money to them. You don't need any other data. But when you want to trade that onto an exchange, that's where you give up your anonymity. Some exchanges are better than others, but I think that they'll end up cracking down on this to a great degree. That's my opinion on it. Of course, there are other currencies out there that are fully anonymous, but I just believe that the exchange itself, so if you want to sell your Bitcoins, you get onto an exchange and then you would no longer be anonymous. They would know where that money is headed, and then the taxman will come your way. There are other ways around this. I won't talk about the details of that in this video, but this is just primarily where people are putting their money through. In fact, people keep their money on the exchanges, and I think that is very, very dangerous. Never do that. You can have your own private keys. You can keep your own currency with you wherever you go. And that's significantly safer than keeping them on the exchanges, which are being attacked every day. So don't make that mistake. And essentially what has happened here is that the Australian government has sat down. They've had this extensive consultation with the industry. That's the financial industry, the big banks, the central banks, and our national security agencies, the ones who keep you safe each and every day. So of course they got together and they said, look, we can't have this system. This is dangerous for us. We can't do that, so we're going to crack down. But is it anti-money laundering that they're worried about? That's what they're suggesting here. That was the official report. This is Bitcoin.com talking about that report. And essentially what they do is they're trying to strengthen their policies that they've put in place, trying to get rid of all this anti-money laundering. They want to impose know your customer rules on everybody. It's, you know, a global thing that they're doing. And I don't believe that this is the reason why. Because as we know, cash is used more often, much more often. A fraction of that is being used, probably, they can only estimate, within cryptocurrencies. But of course, we're not being told that. This right here is a document out of the UK government's website, and it talks about, one of the things that it talks about is virtual currencies. This is a massive report, but I just forwarded down to the virtual currency portion. And they essentially say that there are, by the way, they get into actual details of the different miners. They get into a lot more detail than I've seen governments around the world know about cryptocurrencies. So it was quite interesting that they're finally starting to learn. We saw the law that the US government put in place that says when you come over the border, you have to claim your digital currency. That's right. You have to claim your digital currency, knowing that they don't know anything about this. I mean, what a joke. But regardless, in this report, they're talking about the potential that individuals could use this for nefarious acts. But they also suggest that cash is being used to a much greater degree to do this. Much greater. It's almost insignificant to what's being used for virtual currencies in this regard. Most of them don't know how to do that. They don't trust it. And also, the prices can be very volatile. So by the time that person may decide to take their money out, they're already in a precarious position because the price may have dropped by 20% or 50%. Maybe it went up by 20 or 50%. So they don't necessarily like to do this. They also probably don't want to put their money ever into some sort of bank. They want to cash that out. So they want cash. Cash is going to be used that way, and that's why they want to implement a cashless society. So they're being squeezed from all sides. I don't think that in any way that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are being used for this. I don't think that's really very realistic. Sure, on a smaller scale, but I just think that cash is probably the way that they'll stay as long as it's around. And then we have this. A company co-owned by one of President Vladimir Putin's internet advisors plans to raise the cryptocurrency equivalent as much as $100 million in a push to help Russian entrepreneurs challenge China in Bitcoin mining. So essentially what they're doing is creating this ICO, initial coin offering, and they're going to start mining. They want to mine the Bitcoin. They want to challenge China because they have such a huge market share in that. And I think that this is quite interesting that everybody in the world, different governments, they're all talking about either blockchain technology or they're talking about the digital currencies. And I think that there will be a major change. I think that a lot of the cryptocurrencies that exist today will not exist in some point in the future. I think that the values will become very volatile. I think that you'll lose anonymity entirely on all of the exchanges. And I think that we are going to have to go to a new method, and that is basically exchanging between individuals. I think that the people rely on the exchanges too much because it's a very liquid market on the exchanges. And that's what happens. You want to get your money out. You want to get it at the lowest, basically that spread that exists. You want to basically minimize that. So the more liquid something is, the smaller the spread will be, and then you can get what you are looking for. But if you're going to exchange between two individuals, local exchanges and things, you may not have that same access. It may not be quite as easy. So that's where you lose out. So I think it's interesting just to see what happens. I think a lot of people are just sort of infighting here with, should we buy gold? Should we buy Bitcoin? I'm just covering the information. You do what you want with it. That's all. I just cover the information. Whether I like it or not doesn't really matter. I hope that you don't do things because of me, and instead you just take my information and you make your own decisions. I'm just trying to empower people, trying to give them the information. You do what you want with it. The sources are always in the description of the videos. You can go there, you can look at them for yourself and make your own judgments. This is gold right here, and we have seen it go up significantly with the whole issue over in the East. Can't say that word on this channel anymore. But we saw the turmoil resulted in gold hitting a high it hadn't in quite a while, so that was quite interesting. But of course, now peace and prosperity have been restored all of a sudden, and the price has been moving around quite a bit. It came down there. All I know is that it breached the 1300 mark, and that was an important thing because it hadn't done so in quite a while. In fact, it's been trading in a range here. I think that the more turmoil that there is, the more gold will do well. But what we're talking about is paper gold. If you're looking at gold, we need to understand that we are talking about a physical metal. This is something that cannot be reproduced. It cannot be printed. You can't do that. But you can lease an infinite amount of gold onto the market, what they do every single day. They have been pushing the price down for this long. I think they can continue it for the foreseeable future. That's my opinion on it. I just don't really ever want to look at the price of gold. Why do I need to care? Because I'm just going to hang on to it. If you have a little bit of precious metals, you have a little bit of every different type of asset, you'll always do better than the people who put their eggs in one basket. And that's over a longer period of time. That's just a smart way to do things. I believe in diversification even within the asset class itself. If you're going to have gold, do you want to have just one type? Do you want to have just 1 ounce gold coins, that same type of gold coin? Is that the smartest thing to do? I don't think so. I think you need to have different denominations of that. Really small pieces of gold, you want to have maybe different types of coins from different places around the world. Sure, you're not going to get the same price for all of them. Maybe it's not just the cheapest that you're looking for, but you want that diversification. If you had to pay, let's say, another 5% to get a different type of coin or whatever it is, bullion, then it would be a wise thing to do because you're diversifying. It's the same with cryptocurrencies. Do you buy just Bitcoin or do you have various different ones? And that's also important to note, is that you need to keep your assets geographically diversified as well. So think about gold. There are many of these services that offer gold to be allocated to you in a vault somewhere around the world, whether it's Singapore, Hong Kong, London, Switzerland. So you can do that. I'll leave that up to you to decide if that's good or not. But maybe you want to keep some at home. Maybe you want to keep some somewhere else. I mean, there are different ways. Cryptocurrencies work the same way, where you don't want to keep all of it, let's say, on one particular exchange. That's not a good idea. You want to have it diversified elsewhere. You want maybe some on a desktop, some on your cell phone, some on some place online. There's different things, and I know not everybody knows the terms here. I just think that people put so much focus onto one particular thing and they make a mistake. Diversification is always going to help us. Sure, you may have a primary focus. Okay, I am heavily overweight on one particular asset class right now. Let's say, I think that gold is going to do really well. So I put 70% of my portfolio in gold. But that's 70%. That other 30% may be divided between 10 other different types of assets. And that's the way you have to do it. You change the allocation over time, but you're always maintaining diversification. That's something that Mark Faber talks about all the time. It's important to have that diversification. I'll leave it at that for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my books, The Money GPS and my new release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. These books are available at Amazon. The links are in the description below, so you can flip through them for yourself. Take care. Just wanted to let everybody know that I am also on VidMe and DTube. The links are in the description of this video. These are alternate platforms to get off of this one you're currently watching it on right now. I'm trying to get off of that, even diversifying in that way as well, because we can't rely on any one thing. That's what we know. If there's anything that we do know, is that we can't rely on one thing, that's for sure. So I'm getting onto VidMe and DTube as well. It's basically trying to just not trust. Let's just put it that way. I'll leave it at that. Take care.